Update your resume quick, honey, because this is not a drill. Welcome back to the official Thompson Resume Writing Company YouTube channel, where I share weekly tips and hints on how to update, refresh, and or prepare your resume and LinkedIn profile for your job search, along with some career advice, some job search tips, and some personal stories of my own. I am Tamika Thompson. I am the owner and resume writer at Thompson Resume Writing Company, and I specialize in transforming bland, lackluster resumes and LinkedIn profiles into powerful selling tools that help corporate mid-level, management, and executive professionals land interviews 2 times faster. If you are new to my channel, welcome, and I'm so happy that you're here. I hope that you like this video enough to go ahead and hit the subscribe button below. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for showing my content some love and being loyal. You are appreciated. So for today's video, we are going to be talking about some clear signs, red flags that you may be getting fired or laid off soon. What Beyonce say? Somebody getting fired. Somebody getting fired. Let's get right into it. So straight up, no chaser, getting fired or laid off sucks. Like, sucks hard. And as somebody who has experienced both in my career, I completely understand how traumatic and devastating that it can be. But the real tea is that terminations and layoffs very seldom happen completely out of the blue. It may seem that way, and if that's the case, then maybe you have not been paying attention. But I can honestly say each and every single time that I was either let go or that I was laid off, I sensed it ahead of time. Like, I knew it was going to happen before it happened. Some signs are very obvious and other ones are a little bit more subtle. And again, if you're not paying attention, if you're not being observant, it will probably not even be on your radar. And if you saw the sign, you may not even realize that it was a sign. If you happen to notice or experience any of the things listed in this video, you need to reach out to a resume writer ASAP to get your resume updated quick. So without further ado, here are 6 warning signs and red flags that you may be getting let go or be without a job real soon. Number 1 is if the company is not doing well. Now, y'all already know that as soon as stakeholders say that they aren't pleased or happy with something, if sales and revenue goals have been hit, if business performance has been poor, or if objectives or key initiatives were not hit or were not met, the very first thing that they do is start making cuts to save some money, which means that your job is immediately put at risk. Here is how you can tell if your company is not doing well. First things first is to pay attention to the news. If you work for a large company or a well-known company, things may be getting leaked to the media, leaked to the press about your company. And if you start to notice some articles coming up about how your company isn't maybe doing well or bankruptcy may be on the horizon, that is a sign. The second thing is to pay very close attention to how the higher ups are acting. So typically when it comes to big business shifts such as massive layoffs and things of that sort, 9 times out of 10, sometimes you'll see people leaving the company. Sometimes you'll see people coming out of meetings, kind of stressed out, looking all flustered, looking like they're kind of sad or looking like they don't know what to do, or just in general acting a little weird, maybe acting a little ominous, as if they know something is coming, because they do know that something is coming. The third thing is to pay attention in town halls and company gatherings or company meetings. If you're seeing on certain slides that, or maybe all slides, that things are just not doing good and everything is in the red and everything is down, that may be a sign for you. And last but not least on this list is to pay attention to energy shifts at work. So if you notice that everyone is acting maybe a little bit more stiff or a little bit more tense or super jittery, that is a sign that something is going on, because we all know energy does not change out of nowhere. Now, I did experience this one time. I worked for a company a couple of years ago where they would actually have annual layoffs based on business priorities and projections and things that they were changing and yada, yada, yada. And it always happened around the same time. And I didn't pick up on this until my second year there, because young, dumb Tamika was off tra-la-la-la-la. I have a job, wasn't, paying attention, wasn't caring. And that's when I started to kind of peep game that around this time of year, I noticed that there would be layoffs, and maybe like a month or 2 before, everybody would be super panicky, super jittery, super like on edge. And it was so, I'm somebody who feeds off of energy, like I can feel energy and I can feel aura, and I'm just like, this is not it, something is up. And so I did not like that. 1 year later, I ended up just changing jobs altogether, because every year around the same time, I'm like, I can't be going through worrying about if my job is going to be at risk, if I'm going to have a job or not. And the thing about it was that it wasn't really based on performance. So I would see people who were getting laid off and who were getting let go, who were like top performers, but their salaries were high. So of course, to save money and to, shave spending, they would be letting those people go. So yes, if your company is not doing well, or if it has not been doing well for quite some time, you may want to start updating your resume to start preparing to jump ship just in case. Number 2 is if your company just went through some sort of a merger or an acquisition. So maybe your company acquired another company, or maybe your company was acquired by another company. And again, the first thing that they do after a merger or an acquisition, sometimes, not all the time, is that they make cuts. So they start to eliminate the positions that they will no longer need, or they start to eliminate duplicate positions. Maybe they already have, 60 customer service reps and they don't need 120. That means that they are going to be cutting your job and that you could potentially be without a job. And it's not just the higher ups who are at risk after a merger or an acquisition. So we all know that once these things happen, whoever has, kind of control or majority stake in the company, or however the deal went, starts to make changes that they want to see immediately. And that can be switching out VPs and directors and presidents and CEOs and board members, all the way down to somebody as simple as the janitor. When I say nobody is off limits, I mean nobody is off limits. And they typically do this for a few reasons. So sometimes when a merger or an acquisition happens, a new team is brought in or hired on, or people are swapped out to carry out or fulfill whatever the company's objectives are, or whatever they have in mind, or whatever it is that they want to do. And of course, obviously, they're never 100% upfront about there may be job cuts or people may be getting laid off. Sometimes they sell it as like this blended family that's just happened and we're all going to be happy together, and that is not the case. If a recent merger or recent acquisition has happened, be on your P's and Q's until you know for sure that you are going to be safe and that you are okay. Number 3 is if your boss is being hella nitpicky and it feels like he or she is just all on your back lately. Now, you know how it is when your boss starts to get real hella extra with you. So maybe they're micromanaging you. Maybe they're checking up or following up on a particular project multiple times a day all of a sudden. Maybe they are clocking you from the time you get in to when you take lunch, when you come back from lunch, when you take your bathroom breaks. That's too much, and that's a sign. Maybe they've been keeping a very close eye on you. Maybe for some reason, out of nowhere, they're all of a sudden not satisfied with anything that you do, and nothing that you present or nothing that you complete is ever good enough, and there's always something wrong with it. And another thing too that a lot of people don't peep and don't pay attention to is if your boss all of a sudden, or if your manager starts CCing a bunch of people on emails out the blue. It's like, if you weren't CCing anybody on our emails before, why are you doing it now? What's the reason? What Cardi B say? What's the reason? Or maybe they start acting a little funny, like something is up. So maybe you come in every day and typically you and your boss have a great conversation. Good morning, how you doing? How was your weekend? How was your evening? How are the kids? And then maybe all of a sudden those conversations are different. Or maybe they're a little bit more quieter than they used to be. Or maybe they stop talking to you altogether. Because I had that happen to me too. Maybe there's some tension in the air, or some tension between you two that you can feel, like you can literally cut it with a knife if you could. Those are some clear signs that they may be gearing up to fire you. And something else that I meant to add to that list is if maybe you've been written up recently for something that you have done before, or something that maybe wasn't a big deal that they let slide before, but now all of a sudden it has to be documented and you have a notice on file. That, my friends, is called they are getting ready to create a paper trail to justify firing you. And then finally, maybe your boss has expressed extreme disappointment or just being very dissatisfied with something that you've done recently. So maybe you dropped the ball on something, you're bad. Maybe you didn't, deliver 100% on a project or something that was in your court. Maybe they're really upset about that and they've been expressing that multiple times. Maybe you all meet every single week and every single time you guys meet, they are constantly bringing that up. That is a sign. Update your resume quick, honey, because this is not a drill. Next is if you and your boss, for whatever reason, are not seeing eye to eye and have not been on the same page for quite some time. Maybe you feel as though business priorities and objectives and goals should be one thing, and maybe they feel like it should be something different. And the two of you can just not come to a compromise, and neither one is trying to hear the other. And basically, it turns into a relationship where you're just doing what they say, even though you disagree with it or even though you feel like it is the wrong thing. Now, this did happen to me at a former company. The CEO laid out a bunch of marketing priorities one year, and I was just like, this is not right. As a marketing professional, it should be this, 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 and this. This is what our marketing goals should be. This is what we should be striving to. This is what should be, incorporated in the marketing strategy. And I wasn't disrespectful. I presented, a nice presentation, gave a nice explanation, gave reasoning behind it, and he just was not trying to hear what I had to say. And I was just like, no, I'm out, I'm leaving, because what it seems like you want is a yes person, and that is something that I am not, especially when it comes to marketing. I know and I know what's wrong and what is right, and maybe you are in the same boat or you have been in the same boat, and if you are or you have been, then that is a sign that you need to update your resume and get out of there quick, because we all know what happens when conflict comes to a head. It is never good. Somebody loses their cool, somebody gets fed up, and then there's like this explosion that happens. I want to be careful okay. And this is not to say that you should leave over a small, silly little conflict, and especially if you haven't tried to talk to your manager and try to communicate and get on the same page. You get to this point with updating your resume after you feel as though it's been several months of this happening and you can't catch a break and you do not see it getting better. Whew, child. Next on this list is probably the most important one, and that is lots of whispering and side conversations from employees. Now, typically before it goes down, somebody knows something and they start talking. It never fails. Maybe somebody was in a meeting and they received, word from, the CEO or a director or somebody from up above, and they can't hold water. So they tell somebody who then starts telling somebody. And now, telephone is going all around the office that layoffs are coming down the pipeline 2 months from now. And maybe you start to hear these side conversations by the water cooler or in the bathroom or in the lunchroom. And when you, approach them, or when you start walking past, or when you come out of the stall, everybody gets all quiet. When just a couple of seconds ago, they were kikiing. Or maybe an employee has already told you directly the scoop. Now, it can be your work best friend, or it can be your manager, or somebody else in the company where you heard this information from, straight from the source. Or even better, maybe your boss told you, which shout out to the bosses who give us heads up before something drastic like this happens so that we can get ourselves together. Y'all are the real ones. But case in point, if you are starting to hear rumors, that is a sign, okay? And I'm not talking about just one or two conversations. I'm talking about multiple conversations, maybe 6 or more, where you have heard somebody say something or you've overheard something. The rumor mill does not lie, you guys. And if enough people are talking about it, it must be true. Get your resume ready. Hit me up, hit any resume writer up, and start getting ready to get out of there. The last thing on this list is if current employees are already starting to jump ship. And I'm not talking about 1 or 2 people leaving every couple of months. I'm talking about every month you're seeing 4, 5, 6 people leaving all at once. Whew, that's a sign. Once that get out alarm has already been sounded, the smartest employees are always the first to get out quick, baby. Do not wait a single moment to reach out to a resume writer or to update your resume yourself, to get it prepared for your upcoming job search and start putting together a job search strategy fast. So if you see any of the signs listed in this video, I want you to reach out to me, email me, go to my website, or hop on LinkedIn and try to find a resume writer near you to start getting your resume ready so that you can start preparing to look for a new job. Again, like I said, one, if not several of the things on this list has happened to me in the past, which is kind of where the inspiration for this video came from. And from those experiences, even though they were painful and even though they were difficult to get through, I want to help somebody else avoid what I went through and just being so oblivious to everything that was going on around me. So if your current company is experiencing a couple of these things, or you notice that they're experiencing a few of these things, you know what to do. You need to start getting ready. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video. If you did, go ahead and give me a thumbs up below. Go ahead and hit the like button. And if you're not subscribed, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you need assistance with your resume, if you feel like your job is at risk or that you may be facing unemployment soon, please reach out to me. I am accepting new clients. My email address is hello@thompsonresumes.com, and my website that you can visit is www.thompsonresumes.com. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week with another helpful video. Bye, you guys.